Stand up.
This week we want to talk a bit about what our plans are for the homestead, and especially this part of the homestead, which we call the olive garden. It's one of the flatter spaces.
I call it the olive grove.
The olive grove, sorry. It's one of the flatter spaces in our garden, or on our entire land basically. And next year we want to have our actual garden here because it's shaded throughout the day as well, which hopefully means that our tomatoes won't burn again.
Yeah.
And yeah, we have big plans.
Well, things. So next year we'll have the spring and summer garden in here, as Jackie said. In the meantime, we're going to be putting pigs here very soon. So
yeah, we've been getting ready for pigs mentally ready for pigs for a while.
Yeah.
But now we finally got all the equipment. Like, we have an electric fence. We have Zach is in the process of building a shelter. It's almost done.
Yeah.
And these pigs will be an essential part of our homestead, not because we want to have them as meat pigs, but because they will help us clearing 2 hectares of land, essentially, of brush and bracken.
The plan is to keep these pigs forever, basically. The bracken is, it's carcinogenic. There's cyanide in bracken. We've done a little bit of reading. If pigs consume a lot of this, then it's going to build up in their system as well, and the meat is also going to be mildly carcinogenic. So these 2 pigs will be working
pets.
Animals / pets.
Yeah. Bracken is the #1 invasive species that we have on our land, probably. It just smothers everything, kind of, and it just comes up everywhere as well. It's a bit of a fire hazard because when it dries out, it's just everywhere in piles. So we really want to work on getting rid of that, and the pigs will be one of the few ways we can do this efficiently.
Yeah. After 2 years, or maybe 3 with the pigs, they should have got rid of all the roots, hopefully.
Because we want to be a regenerative farm, like we want to lock carbon in the soil ultimately. Pigs are kind of an essential part of that turnover. Like, the landscape here evolved with pigs as animals that kind of turned over the soil constantly and enriched the ecosystem. We want to resurrect that practice of silver pasture, which is the traditional way of how farms have been run in Portugal for millennia, I don't even know,
Yeah.
thousands of years.
Since time gone by.
We want to breathe some new life into this old practice and also enrich the soil here. That's like the next big problem on this farm, or the next big challenge on this farm, is the hard clay soil that we're working with. Hopefully the pigs will help us kind of like loosen that up a bit, and we have spread quite a bit of like organic matter around. There's a bunch of horse poop in the background here that has been lying there for a few months, and we'll spread that out, and the pigs will till it into the soil for us. We'll let the soil rest, kind of like help get the microbial life jump started in here as well. But it will take years, but this is the start.
Did you just put something in your mouth?
Animals are an essential part in our efforts to improve our soil to the point where it will become a carbon sink. Our chickens not only grace us with an egg or 2 from time to time, they're also our composting army that turns our kitchen scraps into nitrogen-rich soil for us. and after losing 2 hens to the fox, we spent the summer months building and improving their coop and run massively. Primarily, we need their manure to increase the biodiversity and loosen up the clay soil that is typical for this region, and there's a whole video coming about this topic. But for now, we will add more chickens in the coming months to increase our laying hen stock, thus our resilience, but also to have the ability to easily free range some of them with the pigs and help clear the land for cover crops.
This one is just so slow.
Nice. Another project that we have for this upcoming winter is to plant many more trees in this part of the garden. Now just here we have our fenced garden, which is where we've been growing our vegetables and salads since the spring, and that will continue to function like that through the winter. But by next spring we're going to take that down and replace it with the olive grove, and in this area this will become a food forest if all goes to plan. So it's mildly sloped right now, and recently we had some heavy rainfall. When that happens, the sediment is all washed away down to the bottom of the garden and the top of the terraced forest there. So what we're going to do to prevent sediment runoff and help water retention is make swales here. So I don't know what the technical term for this device is, but I call it a contour finder. Essentially, this weighted line will rest in the center when it's on a level surface between the 2 feet there. So we use this to find where the contours are, and then we will dig a swale on that contour line. And what this is just a shallow trench with a mound on the lower side of it. So when the rainwater comes, instead of simply washing away, it will collect in this shallow trench. There will be an overflow too, and then the water that stays there will percolate into the ground, and it should encourage biomass to live healthily in the soil, along with all the microbes that come along with that. And another knock-on effect of that is a higher water retention capacity, so we should maybe be able to water a little bit less in summer, which is good.
What you see behind me is the house that came with this property when we bought it. It's not a ruin, not a house. It's something in between. That's probably the biggest project that we have for this winter, closing up and finishing the extension that the previous owner has built in very wonky ways, and we try to improve it and finish it to our taste as well, while staying within the footprint, because we don't want to get another, like an architect involved. So we're just going to do the internal works, basically, which is legal. The building is fully legalized and on urban plot, which makes it really easy for us. We didn't have to go through the whole process to do that, and it gives us no heartache whatsoever. We could just register here very easily. In the future, there will be more videos about the renovation projects here. There's also this old stone part that belongs to it, which will need quite a lot of improvements, some new pointing, some renovations of the wooden floor. Yeah.
One of the last big projects that we have before winter sets in is making sure that we have access to enough water up here on the top of the hill. So we have a spring down in the valley, which is where we get the majority of our water. And when it rains, our rainwater collection fills up. But if those tanks are empty, then what we need to do is pump the water here from the spring. So the way that works is from the spring, we fill a pond that holds about 1,600 litres worth of water. From there, we pump the water 15 metres up the hill to a 1,000 litre IBC tank that we have positioned there. From this tank, we can then pump water the remaining 15 metres to the top of the hill to our tanks up here. And from there, we can then let the water flow out through the pipes into the garden. Oh, wow, it's acorns falling from the trees. So the difference in height between us and the spring is 30 meters. The pump can pump 30 meters, but we prefer to split it into 2 journeys to go a little bit easier on the motor, and it's also practical to have another tank down there where it is. So the plan for next year's garden is to have a more efficient, leveled up watering system. Whereas right now we use a small low pressure hose or even a watering can to do all the watering. In the future we will have the water going through a 1-inch pipe, so a much higher flow rate, and then that will flow into irrigation ditches. So it should just take a few minutes basically every day to water the whole garden just by turning on a tap essentially. So that's the plan.
These are the main projects that we will have for the winter, and there will probably be like a gazillion more tiny projects that come in between this, but we hope that by next year we have achieved an improvement in our water situation, in our garden, and in our soil.
Maybe we won't upload next week.
Okay, stop.